Buongiorno tutti. Welcome back to Venice. What a day that I have today. It was a very interesting day. The first part of the day was a gorgeous morning where I get to, and later in this video, I will take you on a journey using the Vaporetto and learning how that all works. I'm happy to say I figured it out, and I had an enjoyable morning and mid-afternoon just riding the buses. You know, I love being on the water. It's fantastic. And I managed to get out to a couple of the islands and got to see the churches. Finally got to see the Santa Maria Salute, which I could have walked to, but I took a water bus just to see how that worked out, and it was great. So I will cut to that shortly. But as the wind picks up, I'll talk about the rest of the day. The wind chill factor is one degree. It feels like it's 1 degree out. The real temperature is like 5, but who cares? It feels like 1. And it is cold. It's very cold. It was like 18 degrees this morning. I was hot in my long sleeve shirt, and then suddenly it became very, very cold, and the wind came on out of nowhere, which was funny because the weather had suggested that it was going to rain for like 2 hours. It was going to have a little bit of rain, not a big deal. And so I went out, and my plan was to hit all the southern islands, and didn't work out. The wind just picked up. It was freaky because the wind was coming from the east, but the clouds were moving west, and then they started moving north. And it was like, what is going on? Then the clouds got the sky got really, really dark. Rain came pouring down. It was crazy. I did the smart thing and abandoned my original plan. It took me a while to do that though, because the buses were still running. The weather forecast suggested all this was going to end soon, so it wasn't a big deal. It's amazing how those buses and all the boats just keep going with all those high waves and the winds and everything. I would never have gone out there in a canoe like that. But it was kind of fun. I got sprayed on, like the waves were hitting the boat and splashing everybody on board. It was kind of funny. And I stupidly decided to keep going, and I went to the bell tower. It was so windy up there. It was so cold. It like chilled me to the bone, and it was so windy. I was feeling like, being pushed. It was nuts. I don't know why I did that. Well, I do know why, because I got amazing photos. And it was fun. But yeah, then I bailed, and in order to warm up, I decided to take an early dinner and got myself a pizza and this really interesting appetizer. It was kind of like a croquette with pistachios and cheese and ham or something. Like it was really, really, really cool. So that was cool. I warmed up and got a little, and I waited for the rains to stop. And, those 2 hours of rain that we were supposed to have turned out to be all afternoon. It just stopped. But you might be able to hear the wind is still coming. I've tried to find a few spots where the wind isn't present, but what can you do? So yeah, a genuine rain day. But even then I had like so much to do in the morning, so I can't complain. I really can't complain. So let's learn about Vaporettos for a bit. Okay, so I bought myself a day pass on the Vaporettos, and I'm gonna go island hopping today. See how this works out. I've taken a look at the the schedules and the big map, and I think I figured it out. I think I figured out how to navigate the city. So I have 24 hours, and I can go anywhere on the Vaporetto. We'll see how this goes. So the first thing you need to do is figure out which line you're on, or which line goes where you need to go, and then check that like elaborate, overly complex, lots of information map, and see which line stops at your destination. And that's marked by one of those black lines or black circles at your stop with the number. And you can see this is a bus taking off right now, right? So as soon as you figure out which line you need to be on, where the stop is, and all that, you have to find the right gate, which are these really cool floating rooms, basically, and they'll all have a letter to them, A, B, C. Some of them will be dispersed, quite a distance away, like a 2 or 3 minute walk from each other, but each of these will be assigned a line. Now most of the small places, like the one I'm at right now, I'm at the very western tip of Utica, and so this is the most western stop. So there's only going to be one of these platforms, and the platform is here because it floats in the water. So no matter how high or low the water is, getting off and on the bus is pretty simple, right? So, you know, it's all really good as long as you figure out that complicated schedule thing. So the next thing that you want to look for is the time that your bus is going to arrive. Now, in some of the big stations, they have digital feeds. Some of those digital feeds get broken, but more often than not, there's going to be like a little bit of a listing. So you find your line. So the steps are: find your line, figure out which platform your line stops at. There's another bus right now. Figure out which platform your line stops at and in which direction it's going. And then wait in here. And now, as soon as you get to the right platform, that's when you'll see the schedules listed and when the next bus is. And as I mentioned, those digital ones will tell you minutes and they'll be updated. But generally speaking, you'll be looking for one of those little graphics with all the stops in it and the times and a little, you know, it's like a little bit of a spreadsheet. And that's it. Like, I think the most challenging part is to look at that ridiculously complex map and just figure out whether or not, or which lines stop where you need to go, and then figure out where you need to be to go on that line, right? This is, you know what, to be honest, I can't even see what line that is. I'm gonna guess it's the number 2, because the 4.1 and the number 2 come through here, and they make these stops. And you'll see some, as you saw, like one of the buses are a little smaller than the bigger buses, and that's just based on the fact that like there's more people on that line versus another, right? But you see how it's, I've been talking and they've come in and gone, and lickety split, right? It's very, very efficient. Now, buying the tickets, what tickets do you need? Well, there's day passes. There's 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, as well as a week. The day pass is $21. The 2-day pass is $30. So there's a bit of a savings if you buy that. but the week long is $60 or euros. Sorry, this is all euros. So $60, so about $90 Canadian, right? So it does get pretty expensive. And the reason why I'm standing here is a little bit of travel advice is, so the mainland is on the other side, and the only way to get there from Judica is by bus. And so if you're looking for a cheap spot to stay in Venice, you might find spots out here on this island. But know that the reason why they're cheap is because you're going to be spending a lot of money getting back onto the mainland. If you don't have to do that very often, that's not a big deal. You could also buy, like if you were spending a really, really long time here, you could also buy a resident card for €100, and then that gives you the opportunity to buy all these tickets for like 1/7 the price. So you kind of have to do the math, right? So, 1/7 of 60, I don't know, what is that, like $8 or €8? So is that, does that work out with 1 week at plus the $100? And create yourself a spreadsheet, figure it out. Otherwise, pay the extra money, stay on the mainland, and then you won't have to worry about it. Because that's the other thing, is that I've spent almost 30 days here now, and I've really never used the bus, except for that one trip to Murano, because obviously I needed a bus to get out there. Yeah, I haven't needed it otherwise. I mean, there's a lot of walking and stuff, but like it's actually quite nice, and all that. The other thing too is you can also buy time tickets. So like one-time ticket, I think they last like an hour or 2 hours. The equivalent of one-way ticket, right? And they're €7, $7.50, I think. So if you're going somewhere, coming back, that's 14. So you save a little bit of money than a day pass, which is 21. But also know that that's basically 2 tickets, right? So if you're trying to go to a third place, then it's worth getting the day pass. So yeah, it's complex, but it's so far been kind of fun. Like for €21, I've been on a bunch of boat rides already, so that's fun. And I've got more to go, so on to it. Yeah, so for example, there's 2 platforms here. There's an A and a B. This is B. A was back where I was before. And B services everything that goes in the eastern direction, and the other one, A, is western. So if you're going to San Marco or Lido, then you want to be on this platform. So as soon as you figure out which line you're on, you figure out which platform you need to go to, then you go to that platform. That's where you'll see the schedule. Then you get on that platform and you wait for your bus. Easy, sort of. Once you figure it out, it's easy. And of course, this is coming from a guy who doesn't really do the whole train thing very often at home, so it's all new and fun and fantastic for me. So maybe this all seems like intuitive to everybody else, but I found it really complex to figure out in the first place. So now I get it. A storm has come up very, very quickly. Very freaky too. The wind's moving west, but the clouds are moving east. was to go to Lido after this, but oh boy, it is really, really nasty out right now, and it's gonna rain. I think I gotta bail. I gotta go. I gotta bail before I'll have to bail. I'm heading back to the main island. Yeah, so that was my day. Quite an adventure, and I'm, ready for whatever happens tomorrow. Last few days here, I'm getting a little sad, but that's the way it is. So Wednesday, I'm back at home. I kind of do really miss Nancy, so maybe it's time. I hope it's not this windy at home, because that's the thing. It's probably still warmer than at home here. So, again. Anyway, I hope everyone who's watching this is doing great. I'm obviously doing great. Venice is awesome. If you haven't been, you should. So start planning your adventures as well. Last Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. Let's see what it holds. Arrivederci. Ciao. Seagulls are bullies.